Hey guys, welcome to Home Sweet Homeschool. If you're new here, my name is Ashley and I'm a homeschooling mom to one. And in today's video, we're going to talk about what we're using for language arts for the 2024-2025 homeschool year. But before we get started and I reveal what we're using, I just want to let you know that this video is a part of a collaboration hosted by Davene over at Calm in the Chaos Homeschool and Shauna over at Homegrown Homeschool. So there's going to be a playlist that will be linked below featuring a bunch of other moms sharing their language arts curriculum for the next school year. So do be sure to check those out. And then I have started a playlist for where all of my curriculum videos are going to go for next school year. So I'll link that down below too. In case you missed last week's, we did math. So if you're interested in what we're using for math, you'll need to go back and watch that video. So let's talk about language arts. So if you don't know, my son will be in the 10th grade next year. He's finishing up his 9th grade year. And so next year he'll be in the 10th grade. And choosing a language arts program is kind of hard when it gets to high school. There's so many cutesy, lovely things for those younger years. And then when you get to high school, it's like, well, what do we do? And so I did try this past year to piece together some things, and that really just didn't work out too well for us. And so we ended up using something starting in January that kind of put everything together for me. And that's what helped me make the decision for what we're going to use next year. So this will kind of give you an idea of what we're going to use. So I can give you a little backstory. So in January, we started using level 7 of the Good and the Beautiful. You can use it for 9th grade. And so that's what we decided to do for his 9th grade year. And he actually did very, very well with it. It's really the first time in our whole homeschool career that he actually responded well to the Good and the Beautiful. I've tried it previous times and it just didn't work out. But for some reason, this past January, it did work out for him. He's done so well with it that I was like, okay, I think that I really want to try their high school levels. And so I asked a couple of my friends that I know on Instagram that use it. I wanted their thoughts to see what they thought about it. And then I also watched a couple of ladies that I trust here on YouTube that have used these programs like for the entire year, sharing how they felt about them and how they, how good they were or if their kids like them. And so I was like, you know what, we're going to give it a try. That does not mean that we have to do it every year of high school. We can try it this year, and if it doesn't work out, that's okay. But I did want to give it a try. So for the 2024-2025 homeschool year, we will be using high school level 1 from the Good and the Beautiful. So I'm going to show you what that looks like, and then I'm going to talk about some other things that we're going to do also. So when you order that, when you go to the Good and the Beautiful website, definitely go check them out, look at their samples, look at what they have to offer. You can get this in print or digital, and I really wanted it, I just wanted it in print. Since it was my first year using it, I just wanted them to send me what I needed. I did not want to have to print anything out. So this is what you get. You're going to get the grammar and writing guide, and this you'll actually use if you do all the levels. So you don't buy this but one time. And this is just full of different grammar things. Like this is commonly confused words, and they will have places where it will tell them to refer to this guide. So you'll want to purchase that. Then you also get this lovely pack. And I've already torn mine apart because I actually had all this put in this cabinet. This right here behind my camera here. Have it all ready for next year. But you get your geography cards, and then there's also poetry memorization cards. These are really neat because you've got the poem on this side, and then on the other side it's the poem but with words missing. I thought that was really neat. And then there's also, let me get to the back of it. These are your Greek and Latin words. So they look like this. And these are labeled year 1, year 2, year 3. So you probably use this set, I guess, for the whole time too. I don't know enough about it yet, so don't hold me to it. But you do get these. Okay, so that's the other thing that comes with it. Then you're going to get the booklets. Looks like this. There are 10 of them. So it's high school 1, and it has the course instructions and then each of the units. So I'll just show you what some of them look like. They're so pretty, which all of their stuff is beautiful. So there's unit 2. I think this one's my favorite though. Isn't that so pretty? That's unit 3. They're all gorgeous. They could all be like framed prints. They're so pretty. Unit 4. Here's Unit 5. Unit 6. I'm sorry my camera light here is showing. Here's 7. 8. Oh, this one's cute too. 9. And there's the last one. So you get 10 of these books, and I'll just show you the first one here. Let me get back to it because I've now thrown them all into my floor. So this one does have the course instructions in it, plus Unit 1. And so this right here lays out how you do everything. So that's very important. And I've already started reading through this the other day. It lets you know like what art supplies you need, any of the products that you're going to need, how to do the regular path or the honors path, the course reading challenge, the high school geography and poetry cards. So there's a bunch. Also, when you purchase this, in your email, you will get a little file that has like the unit checks and the answer key. And I deleted that email, but they were so nice. I sent them an email and told them that I deleted the email they sent. And I needed the unit checks, and they so graciously sent me another email with it in there. But you're going to want the unit checks and the answer key. That is something you would have to print out or just keep it pulled up on your computer. So there's that. There is creative writing, and then of course art and geography. Then you have your page to grade. That's your grading sheet. And so things are set up a little differently. So it's going to be different because I'm so used to just the lessons in Unit 7, or if you've used any of the other units. So this is how the sentence dictation works for the little booklet here. And then they're just one booklet, and the student has to kind of figure out how many days, how much to do each day. So there is like a recommended schedule of how many days each unit should take. And so you kind of could give them a deadline if you wanted to, or you could say, hey, I want this done in 2 weeks or 3.5 weeks. I don't know how we'll do it yet. So I'm going to show you a little sample schedule that I found. But I know that my son would have to be taught how to plan those things out. Now, I know a lot of kids could take this and divide this up and pace themselves. And then some kids are going to save it to like 3 days before it's due. Whatever works. Everybody's very different. So I'll probably teach him how to plan that out. We'll see what our sweet spot is and then go from there. Or we'll use a schedule that I already found that somebody so graciously put in the files section. I'm a part of like a middle and high school group on Facebook for the good and the beautiful. And somebody in the files section, there's a couple high school one schedules. I think there's one with honors, and then this one I don't think has honors, so I'll show you that. But anyway, they work through the book, and you'll see a lot of things that look the same, like, the reading and things like that. So there's a lot of good reading there. And you do have a lot of vocabulary work. This is their reading assignments, and then here's some effective writing practice, which you've seen, I'm sure, in the other levels if you already use it. This is about parts of speech. And my son hates sentence diagramming. He's great at it, but he absolutely hates it. So there is some sentence diagramming there. You're going to study Ralph Waldo Emerson. So, I mean, it's set up kind of like the other books, minus there's no do this lesson, do this lesson, do this lesson. You really have to figure it out for yourself. So then there is the geography. So this is about New England, and they're going to be tracing some maps and all that good stuff. There's beautiful artwork. There is a page for Insights journals. So they'll be doing some journaling here. So like this is Insights Journal Unit 1, and there's some spelling practice, and then you do have review at the end. So you would do the review, and then there's also art at the end of it. So of course that's just the first one. Now my plan is as we're working through this next year to stop and share with you after each unit, so I can give you a better idea of what he actually learned, what topics were covered, and what we went over. I do know there's places to stop and watch videos, and I appreciate things like that. So I will be sure to come back next year and share when we finish each unit. So if this is something you're interested in for your child, you can have a better idea, because there's just not a ton of detail out there There's a lot of parents that share about it, but really not what are their kids actually learning. So I would love to kind of jot down the topics and be able to share with you what's in every unit and what they're going to be covering, what his writing was, all that kind of stuff. Now, I can tell you right now, he's probably not going to do the art. He does not enjoy the art that's in those. He likes like comic book style art. So we will probably talk about the art project and look at it. And if he wants to try it, that's fine. But if he doesn't, I'm okay with that too. So that's what we have. So you have those 10 books, little unit books. And then you have your read alouds or your reading, not your read alouds. Your reading. Now you're going to notice from my stack that I have 2 of every book. Do you need 2 of every book? Absolutely not. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to hit the camera. You do not need 2 of every book. The reason why I have 2 of every book is my son does have ADHD. And we have just learned over the years of homeschooling that he does better being read aloud to. Whether he's listening to an audiobook or he's listening to me read, he comprehends and understands better when someone else is doing the reading. He's a fine reader. He's been able to read for a long time, but his comprehension is better when he has somebody reading it to him and he is following along. So I did order the original high school pack, and then I ordered a second pack of books. So we have 2 of every book so that we can follow, like he can follow along as I'm reading. And while we're reading, we talk about vocabulary words. We point out different things. We stop and have a chat. And that works well for him. So don't be afraid to get that second book or to find another way to help your kids if reading to themselves doesn't work out. You can always read aloud to them and share with them and talk to them about these books. And so that's why I just went ahead and bought 2 of each, because I know that's what works best for him. So I have 2 of every book. Now, a lot of people have said their kids weren't crazy about all these stories. And I hear that a lot about The Good and the Beautiful. And I don't know, I think it's because they're very different than mainstream books that kids are reading. And we read a bunch of things here at our house. We do not read just good and beautiful books. While that's wonderful and we like good and beautiful books, we do like other things too. We read everything from Harry Potter to, what else have we've read? We read Alice in Wonderland. We are going to read Peter Pan. We want to read Treasure Island. Like the list goes on and on. We read all kinds of things here because good literature is out there. There's tons of it. But I don't think there's anything wrong with reading good and beautiful works of literature. Sometimes we're going to read books we love and sometimes we're not, and that's okay. So I want him to read a variety, and who knows, he may like all these. He doesn't know. So I didn't mention to him that some of the kids didn't like this. We're just going to try it and see. So you have Just David. That's one of the books. Then the story of John Greenleaf Whittier. And then Into the Unknown, Patterns on the Wall, and then Up from Slavery, which I remember reading in high school. So anyway, that's the reading that's there. Now, I want to show you the schedule that I found. So in that Facebook group, in the file section, there's a couple of schedules, and this person has done each of the units and laid them out on a 4-day schedule and went ahead and just put pages in each day, what the kids need to do each day. And I love this. It almost reminds me of like Master Books and their scope and sequence, where they just, or those suggested schedule pages they have, and all you have to do is just read what to do that day and check it off. That's kind of what this is. So we will probably try this. I may print off one other schedule and kind of compare the two, but we will probably try this and just kind of highlight what we do and see if this is something we can keep up with. It looks very manageable for us, but like, again, we'll just have to try it. I won't know till we actually try it. So they do have things like this for you to look at, and you can download yourself and try them out. So that's the stuff from The Good and the Beautiful. Now, we do plan on reading other stuff. I actually have an ongoing list on my telephone, oh my gosh, on my cell phone. I have an ongoing list on my phone of all the books my son wants us to read together, from things like Peter Pan, The Great Gatsby, The Hunger Games, The Hiding Place. There's so many. Like we want to read so many books. We just have this long list. And so I don't have any that I'm assigning to next year. My goal is that we just read books that we want to read to enjoy, and then we pick another one. So if it's a book that is assigned in The Good and the Beautiful, then of course, he's going to be checked over that kind of stuff and making sure he understands it. If it's a book we're just reading because we want to read it, like Peter Pan or Treasure Island or whatever it may be, I'm not going to buy book studies and things like that. Novel studies and book studies are great, and I found some really good ones. And the problem with a lot of the ones that I've used is they're made for a classroom, and a lot of the work is just busy work. And I don't really want him to just be doing busy work over a book so that he's doing work. I don't see any point in that. I understand why you need busy type work in a classroom. You've got to assign a grade. You've got to keep the kids busy. I don't need that for here. I also don't think that I would enjoy being quizzed over every single book I read. I love to read, and if someone was going to quiz me at the end of every chapter, I'd probably dread reading it. So for the books that we choose outside of The Good and the Beautiful, we're not doing anything extra. You're not going to see me buying a novel study or any of that. We will read the book. We will discuss the vocabulary. I'll point out literary elements if I need to. And we will discuss the book. I love to pull up Spark Notes. If you've never used that, that's a very helpful website because they have a ton of books to choose from, and it will give you a summary of each of the chapters. It also gives you an analysis of the chapters, so if in case you missed what the point of the whole chapter was, it will analyze the chapter for you. There's usually some like they'll talk about literary things in there, elements that you might want to point out. There may be symbols, there may be quotes. It's a great website, and I do use that to kind of spur the discussion between us if it doesn't naturally come up, and there's even a quiz if you wanted to do that. But I don't think I'll be buying any book studies because I really just don't want the busy work that comes with it. We tried one for Number of the Stars this past year, and every 3 chapters it was the same worksheets, and that got so boring and so unenjoyable that my son didn't even want to read the book anymore. And it was a good book. So we probably won't be doing that. And then as far as writing, of course, we'll do the writing that's in the high school level course, because I know a lot of people say the topics aren't things their kids want to write about, but when you get to college, you don't always get to choose the topic that you write about. So I think it's important to learn that sometimes we get to choose the topic and sometimes we don't. So he'll do the writing inside of there. I also still have the IEW Fables, Myths, and Fairy Tales because we haven't used that like consistently the whole year. I just pull it here and there and kind of work on a unit. And so that's what I plan on doing next year. Like sometimes we'll be doing the writing in the high school one from The Good and the Beautiful. And then sometimes I might be doing an IEW lesson with him because I think there's benefits of using that program. And then sometimes he just uses a spiral notebook, like it says writer's notebook, and he writes whatever he wants to. Sometimes it's a free write, and sometimes it's a topic that I've came up with or my husband's came up with. I know my husband got him to write about, he had to research and write about 3 lesser known villains in the comic book world. And he loved that. He did the research and he wrote about it. I think he wrote 2 or 3 pages about it. And then we also got him to, I got him to write about what makes a good villain. Write me a paper about what makes a good villain in a movie or a story. And so he did that. And then he also, we've done storyboards. You can't see because he didn't color it, but we did storyboards for one of the chapters that we read in a book. Then I got him to do a book review. When we finished, I got him to write me a book review. We talked about the parts of a book review, and so he worked on that. And then I also got him to write, using that same book that we read, I got him to write the next chapter. So we, finished the book and we read it. And I'm like, okay, so your turn, you get to write the next chapter. If that book had one more chapter, what would it be? And he loved that. He did a great job of kind of, it was like 20 years later, and he did a wonderful job with that. Then I also got him to do a character interview. So we were reading a different book, and I'm like, if you could sit down and interview them, what do you think the conversation would be like? And so he wrote that. We've done comic strip conversations. You can get blank comics. And so we were talking about dialogue and how to carry the story, if you don't have a lot of other words. And then one thing he's going to work on that's fun is called first line free writes. And so I think I found this on the Read Aloud Revival page for free. And so you give them one sentence and then they write the rest of the story. And so this book is really just for him to write whatever he wants to. And we're definitely going to keep this in, ongoing because he loves to write. So sometimes we choose, when he chooses, he usually works on, he's writing a book. And it's just in a spiral notebook too. And so sometimes he chooses to go sit and work on that. And that's fine with me too. As long as he's writing, I don't really care. So I think that's all the components of what we're using next year. If you have any questions about any of this, please let me know. Share below what you're using for language arts for the next school year. Check out that playlist. And as always, thank you so much for watching.